Hello YouTube, this is ChardarYuGiOh, and today I want to talk about the Forbidden and Limited list, and not specifically what I think should be on it. I definitely have opinions about what I think should be on it. I definitely think Heavy Storm should come back, which everyone knows that. But mostly just trends on it, and I noticed something on it earlier, and I'm sure that a lot of people will argue with me about this, whether or not they just disagree with me outright, or depending on what their definition of an archetype is. And how that relates to this is something I noticed was that there's technically only 18 specific archetypes that were hit. Other than that, it's all generic cards that certain archetypes abused. And this is reaching quite a bit too with how an archetype was hit, but those archetypes are Destiny and Elemental Heroes and TG, and these three are grouped together because none of them were really broken on their own. They were just abused by other engines for OTKs, or in the case of TG, it was Hyper Librarian to make Quasar and Planet Seeker really busted. But then you have Wind Up, Spellbook, Six Sams, Infernity, and Inzektor. And all of those decks were very direct hits to archetypes, because those archetypes just did absolutely insane plays. Wind-ups had their Hand Loop, Spellbook, Judgment, and Gateway to Six Samurai. And Infernity Launcher are three of the most powerful cards this game has ever seen. And Inzektors just had too much insane plussing between Hornet and Dragonfly looping. The next ones that are really grouped together, you have Mermail, Firefist, and Blackwings. I don't think these decks were quite insane on the level of Infernities and Spellbooks, and Infernities are probably one of the strongest decks this game's ever had, with 3 Launcher, 3 Barrier. There's like nothing that deck can't do. Mermail, Firefist, and Blackwing are all decks that were really good, maybe just a little bit too good, so you can probably put Gear Gaia on that list too. Just decks that were really solid, and just needed to tone down a little bit. Like, they weren't huge hits to it. Then technically, if you really want to reach, Gishki, Heretic, Ojama, Mist Valley, Ice Barrier, and Genex are all on the ban list. But that has very little to do with their archetypes, and just different cards that were too powerful when put in other decks. Like, I'm not even sure if you'd really count those as hits to the archetypes, especially Genex and Ice Barrier and stuff like that. Like, Ice Barrier is obviously the Dragons, Genex is Birdman, Mist Valley, the Field Spell, and then excuse me, and then Ojama Trio, which was a hit to I'm not sure what, and maybe that's showing my ignorance of the game. I really don't know why Ojama Trio was ever hit. But other than that, it's mostly generic cards, and the best examples I can think of this are Rekindling and Super Rejuvenation. And just cards that have been around for a long time until an archetype comes out that's capable of abusing them. Super Reju for Dragon Rulers, Rekindling for Lavels, and just different things like that. So I don't see where this is going. I don't see stuff like Statella Knights will probably get a direct hit, a limit to Altair, a limit to Deneb, something like that. Because that deck completely interacts on its own. It doesn't really abuse anything. Shaddolls probably aren't going to see a direct hit. It'll be a hit to, like, Mathematician or Armageddon Knight that sees play in OCG or something like that. But I don't really think anything other than maybe limiting Fusion itself. I don't really see anything directly in Shaddolls that would need hit. So, I don't see people always talk about archetypes and what needs hit from archetypes, but I don't really think archetypes need hit that badly. Just generic cards that they abuse. And Statella Knights, even without a hit to them, their power level would go way down if we saw a format with Heavy Storm back, because Statella Knights are the new summon set 4 go deck. So if you just tone down so people wouldn't just spam back row like they do, Statella Knights would lose a lot of their edge. Like, right now, their biggest strength is just playing Floodgates, and that's a discussion for another video, so just let you know what you think of this below, and peace out, YouTube.